Hey everybody, this is your follow-up video to the workshop. And we're just going to go over some really simple stretches that you can do every day for both your hands and your wrists and your feet and your ankles. We're going to start with the hands because it's the least involved. It's going to take the least amount of time. But before I really get into that, I want to explain to you my reasoning behind having a little bit of a hand stretch every day. If you can periodically throughout the day, little ones. It's because we always have something in our hands today. I would say over the past couple of decades, probably more than ever. We're always holding, we're always grasping a phone, we're always grasping a cup. If we commute, it's our steering wheel. We rarely ever have the hands just really stretched out and getting the length through the palm, which is very important for the dexterity of your hands. But also the flexibility of your hands is going to play part also in the strength of your grip, which is going to make a difference in tennis, sports, anything with a racket, or even golf, being able to have that really good handle on your golf club, really good grip. And having a good grip and solid wrist, not having the joints like you want them is going to help your golf game even better. So really the hands do matter. So let's sort of get into that. So this is my little boy. This is Stevie. Hi, Stevie. Move over. So we have this really muscular thumb mound here. It sort of looks like a drumstick if you turn it over. We're going to want to put that part of the hand, and also there's a muscle over here on the other side of the palm, down at the bottom near the heel of the hand. That's great padding. So if you're doing any sort of impact sport on the hands, like yoga is a great example of something where you really want to have the wrist warmed up. This one's essential because it prepares the wrist and the hands to bear weight. So the best way is to sit the seat back to the heels. And if you have knees that are just kind of tired, like mine, you can sit on a block, and that really does help the knees out. But we're going to take those places and we're going to set them down into the mat and just kind of push into the mat with them, engaging them in. And then you bend your fingers enough that you set the fingertips down and you make a fingerprint with each finger. And then you'll notice that if possibly the palm of the hand has risen off the mat, so you're just going to take these knuckle pads and see if you can push them down. And in having those places, fingertips, knuckle pads, heel of the hand, thumb mound, you've got a lot of different places for your weight to disperse. So then when you're in plank or down dog or doing chaturanga, it's really dispersed well, so you're not going to hurt your wrist. So you rock yourself forward and back. And this just kind of gets the hands ready, gets the wrists ready, but it also creates muscle memory in the hands. So I'll always remind my class to kind of look at what's going on there, because your mind will start to, your hands will start to go to that position when you get into planks and things like that without you even thinking about it. So do a few of those, and then you're going to flatten your hands to the mat and spread your fingers. And then I want you just to peel the palms off the mat, and you're going to get that great stretch through the palm, which feels really nice. And then you're going to kind of rock around on the knuckles. And then lift up and kind of looking down at your forearms, and your fingers are pointing back. Lower the heel of the hands down to the mat. And this is just such a good, for me, this is one of those stretches that unexpectedly feels really good. Like you didn't realize you needed it as badly as you do. So you can even create a little movement. You can rock side to side. If you have a little more flexibility, you can even start to walk the hands forward. But just get a nice little stretch there. And from here too, it's nice to sort of peel the palms off the mat and go all the way through to the fingers. And then one last one I like to do here, as far as just getting into the wrists and the hands, is to flip the tops of the hands over so that you're really opening the front of the wrist. You're getting this flexion, which is really important. So go ahead and get that. And then another good one to do is to make a really tight fist, and then you act like you're flicking water off the tips of your fingers. And this just sort of wakes up all the nerve endings in the hands. It gets all the fingers ready to go. It's just a really nice one to do. And then I'm going to take you through a few more, and I'm going to show you a trick with the rubber band. But the next one I'm going to show you just shows you how all of this works together, and it takes the ball of the joints, it just kind of loosens them up in the socket, so it kind of lubricates the joint, so it's really nice. So you take the right hand down, and my right palm is facing straight up, and I've got about a 90-degree angle here from wrist up to arm. And then I'm going to take the left hand and I'm going to pin my palm to the floor. And then from here, I'm just going to rotate that arm around. So it's really moving the arm and the wrist and up at the shoulders. And it's sort of keeping the elbow unified. But you can see how relatable the wrist is to the shoulder. And this is why it's really important, especially with racket sports and even golf, because you do some pretty broad swings that this is part of a shoulder warm-up also. So then you would do it on the other side and just sort of move them around. Okay, so, and the last one is to build grip strength. Take a rubber band, and you want a smaller rubber band, but you want the thick kind. You want it to be, you want it to help you build strength. So you want to be able to feel the resistance, but you make like sock puppets with your fingers with a strong rubber band, and you build the right muscles to have a really good grip without getting a lot of stress into your joints. Whereas some of these grip strengtheners really take a lot of your joints, whereas if you just use this rubber band, it really works into the palm of the hand. It's a really nice exercise. Okay, so there's your hands. So even if you're just putting the hands down and peeling the palms off the mat and rocking around, you know, just every so often, that's great. A couple of days a week at least, please. Okay, so from there we're moving on. We're moving to the feet, and this one's going to take a little bit longer. You can take this apart. You can do it however you want to do it. You can pick your favorite stretches, but I would say about 5 minutes a day if you could. Ideally 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night would be awesome, because to stretch your feet out before you go to bed is really quite nice. So we're going to start off with the balls. I would start with the tennis ball, and I'm going to use this instead so you can see. But you can actually still be sitting on your bed and just flip your feet around to the edge and have a tennis ball beside your bed and literally just put it down, put one foot down, bear a little bit of weight in there, and just roll your foot out. Just a nice way to stretch the feet out before you instantly get up and start walking, especially if you have issues with the soles of your feet. You know, that area, it tears. When you tear the arches of your feet or the muscles in the bottom of your feet, because we use our feet daily, it's really hard to heal. So at night they start to heal, and then in the morning you just get up and start pounding on them again, walking. So if you can just stretch them out just a little bit, it'd be great. So start with the tennis ball, and maybe later in the day when your feet are pretty stretched out, if you wanted to get a golf ball, which is going to be more intense, it's going to hurt a little bit more, but if your feet get conditioned to it, you start to look forward to it. But just roll the the golf ball around if you want. But if you just did the tennis ball, that's awesome. So that's a really good one. It's very simple. There's nothing complicated about that. Roll your foot out. The next ones we're going to get to, we're going to use the blocks, and we're going to use them on the mat, but we will also bring them to the floor. So I'm going to come down here, and you've probably seen me do these. And the next ones we're going to be stretching out the front of the toes right here, up through the front of the foot, the front of the ankle, up the shins, and it's a great deep stretch for the knees. If you don't have the knee health to do this, it's okay. There's another way to get this stretch, and I'll show you that also. So don't worry. If it's too much, it's too much. Just wait, and you'll see what's next, and I'll show you. Okay, so from here, we're going to have a block to each side, flat. And then I want you just to jog 1 foot, one whole shin off the mat, and the weight's in the top of the toe knuckle. And then you do the same thing on the other. So just kind of rock around, putting a little bit of weight back there. And this is a great stretch for the front of the feet and the front of the ankles, which rarely gets done, but it's also great for the shins. So if you're a runner, this is your friend. If you can do both, then you can try 2, and then kind of peel the heels or the seat away from the heels with a calf spine and bring it down. But just jogging one knee at a time is awesome. That's really, you don't need to do more than that. If your knees are a little too tender for that, this is still going to affect the knees, but it's not quite as hard on the knees. You're going to put the tops of your toes up to the knuckle on the block, and you're going to kind of sit back. So similar to that, and if you can't get all the way back, that's okay. And then another one is to come to tabletop position, knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders, and curl the toes and sit the seat back to the heels. And then you kind of rock side to side, and this is deep. This is deep into the feet. This is a deep stretch, so you kind of take it a little bit at a time if you have tight feet. You don't have to drop so far back. You can come up and adjust. Very simple, very easy stretch, great stretch. All right, so from there, we're gonna come up, we're gonna use our blocks, and we're gonna go to the wall. So you're gonna put one block nice and flat, and then the other one is gonna be leaning to it, and it's flat as well. So from here, you're gonna take one foot and put your whole foot on the block, and then lift off the other so that you're getting deep flexion through that ankle. This, of course, is going to come all the way up the hamstring. So it's a double stretch. And because I have other equipment here, I can kind of really lift up and get super deep stretch through that calf. And that elongation is amazing. But it's the flexion in the ankle that is really what we're going for here. The Achilles, the back of my heel right here, is really, really getting stretched. And then that forward motion, I've got that dexterity in my ankles to get that deep of a stretch. Some of you may only get here, some of you here. Just get the deepest stretch you can. So from here, put that foot down enough to stabilize it, and then take the other foot, and you can start at your heel and just sort of rock your foot across. And you can even use the corner of the block, and this can be a little bit painful. It really can. But your feet have a lot of tension in there, so just lessen the pressure as much as you can. And I will go all the way through to the balls of my feet. Okay. All right, so we would do that on both sides. So of course I would stretch that one out. And then you use that foot to hold it down and go through the other. Going through the other is really, I think I have pretty tough feet, and that's hard. But it can really unlock some tension in your feet. And then another one we do here is you're gonna start toe by toe, and I'm gonna line my first toe up on the block, and I'm gonna slide it down so that I'm really getting that. And generally today our toes are too close together, our shoes and things like that. So I will try to kind of pull the toe, kind of separate the toe here. So I'll hold on to that for a little bit, and then I will go through each toe individually. Okay, and then the whole foot. And do that on both sides. And then from there, a towel. A towel is a great tool. Let me get it. Really, you only need like a hand towel, and you're gonna fold it longwise and then roll it down. So this is an option. You can use this, or I have these balance beans, which I will put in a link for you. But if you have these, building balance helps you build strong feet. So to work on your balance every day is just a great benefit. And these are like little mini balance beans. So you just kind of work your balance out on here, and then and they also stretch the feet really well. They're nice to put around the arches of the feet and rock around. They're the perfect size, but mainly I like them for the balance aspect, to keep my balance on point as much as possible. But if you don't have those, and I will provide you with the link, you can just use a rolled up towel. And you can get one or two, and it's enough that it becomes more a dynamic surface. And you have to use your foot grip a little bit more and build some strength. So you can get the rollers or the little mini balance beam, and it does come with this roller. But towels work great too. So you can kind of play with that. But then also for foot grip, you can just roll a towel out and sort of use your toes to gather the towel up. And this is not just your feet, this is ankles and hamstrings, calves. And the other thing I want to talk to you about is getting some toe separators, which are really great for foot health. Just put them on when you get out of the shower at night before you go to bed. Even just an hour a day is incredible. And it really changes your posture even, which is pretty cool. But the rubber bands. So I have toe rubber bands, or you can use just pretty strong regular rubber bands. I like the thicker, smaller ones. They're pretty strong. But wrap one around each big toe and just pull them apart so that the toes are drawn away, inward and away from the rest of the toes, because typically, because of our shoe boxes or toe boxes in our shoes, the feet kind of come together, the toes, and that causes a lot of problems. So if you can just separate your toes a little bit, and I know this kind of feels silly, but this really makes a big difference, and it's made a big difference in my yoga practice as far as my balance. I used to struggle with vertigo a little bit, so I really started working on my feet because it just made sense to me, to help me find my balance when I was wobbly. And I don't know if it helped, but my feet feel better. All right, so we're gonna take that off. And then you can just kind of do that with each toe. You know, you can pull these, you can individually open them up, but we just want to find separation between the toes. So toe separators would be great. But the big toes are the main ones here, because they'll really open this little slant that we get when we start to get those bunions that we don't want. I think that is it, you guys. You've got your hands. I want your hand warm up. You've got some things to do with your feet. I've attached all the links, and once again, thank you for